Joe, to begin with, Jock Campbell getting started first in 1,300 days. Tell us about his story and what sort of lent your hand towards going with him over someone like Tom Wright and Max Jorgensen.
Yeah, I think Max has not had a huge amount of time at 15, not through Super Rugby as well, a little bit. And he's played a lot more for us on the wing, so he's pretty comfortable there. Tom has come back from that long-term injury, 9 months out of the game. He's still getting his rhythm back, but I know he'll fast-track himself back into that rhythm. And at the same time, I think Jock has had a really good season for the Reds, and he's a player that we've had discussions over the last 2 years about him not being far away. I think he's been fast. I think he's been very good under the high ball. The fact that he took some of the kicking responsibility for the Reds at kick-off time and even kicking for touch, his kicking game is strong. So, he's a good solution for us at fullback.
It's debutant on the bench as well, Lockie Shaw. There's a chance he comes up against a couple of lines in that second row. What gives you the confidence that he can really match it and provide a point of difference in those 5 minutes?
Probably the volume of work that he got through in the Super Rugby season. He's a high volume player. He's lean and athletic, so his ability to get up and contest is first rate, and at the same time his ability to play close to the ground is very good for such a big man. So across the board, I thought he had a really good Super season, and is a good investment for us going forward. He's a young man that's really driven to be where he is and to go even further.
Joe, Ryan Lonergan gets the chance to start a test for the first time for the Wallabies. What do you like about him this year and his growth over the last 12 months?
Yeah, I think he's passing really well. His kicking game is strong. Again, he goal kicks, so it's nice to have that security of another kicker in the team. And at the same time, obviously Jake is injured at the moment. Tate is coming back again. He's coming back from a long-term injury, so he's still finding his feet. But we know the value that Tate brought to us last year. So, it was one of those decisions where we just felt one player had a little bit more game time, was a little bit more probably in his game rhythm, and the other one's working his way back toward it.
It must make your job pretty enjoyable, the loose forwards getting to choose from those players, and then Bobby V starts, Tom Hooper off the bench. Can you explain that decision?
Yeah, Bobby V, he's become a little bit of probably a talisman for us. When he plays, I just think he brings a confidence to the players around him. He obviously brings a really physical approach to his ball carry and even defensively. Into the season last year, he was actually just starting to get back to where he plays best. I thought he didn't get rewarded, but he got a superb poach against the French in that last game, started to really get his robust carry going in that last game. So he's a guy who's had a really good build-up through Super Rugby. Tom hasn't been with us through the season so far, and so for him to just refamiliarise himself, the fact they played in the final Exeter, so he didn't get back till quite late, so he's still getting back in amongst it. But he's a great back five replacement. He plays anywhere across that back five from 4 to 8, and that's a nice thing to have on the bench.
That combination of Ryan and Carter having played together, have you felt that in training they worked together quite well, combined well?
I think they have. And again, we had a little bit of time last week and then into this week, so we've had 4 trainings. It doesn't sound like a lot because it's not a lot, but it's all we've got. So you take what you've got and you make the most of it. And I think those 2 guys have made the most of it. And Tate didn't really get a lot of time with Carter either in the end of it, because he only just came back for the end of the season with the Reds. So it wasn't a differential for us as far as the combination they have at the Reds, just because it wasn't very often that they played together.
Joe, do you think you have enough midfield cover on the bench, given that Dono and Tom Wright both played fullback, and obviously Dono can play 10?
Yeah, again, we believe that Tom can play in the middle of the field. So that the obvious answer would be probably that Joe Sue would move in one, and Tom Wright would go to 13 if Len got hurt, and he'd just go into 13 in place of Joe Sue if Joe Sue was injured. Therefore, he gives us enough of the coverage that we need, we feel, and he obviously has played wing a fair bit, and he was our starting fullback last year. So the back three is probably more comfortable for him, you're right, but we couldn't really squeeze another one on the bench. Filippo was the other option, and he's been really good for us. He'll warm up, and he'll be right there if we need him.
Joe, just on the Irish selection, is it along your expected lines, and what are you anticipating about their approach?
I only just got a glance at it, but it's very much what we'd anticipated. I think it's their strongest team that they can put out, with Tyke Byrne coming back from injury. He didn't play the back end, I don't think, of the season with Munster. James Ryan and Joe McCarthy in the engine room, they're a couple of big experienced players. Tom O'Toole switching across to the loose head. Obviously Angus Bell knows him well. They buddied up a little bit in Ulster and played the other. He played the other side of the scrum in Ulster, so he and Angus Bell know each other well. Dan Sheehan obviously a skipper, so he was the obvious starter there. Ken Prendergast played against us last time. I'd obviously know Josh Van der Fleer and Jack Conan really well, having coached them, and the rest of them are very predictable. Stuart McCloskey he has really come of age. Gary Ringrose teamed up with him. That's a really good, mature, experienced midfield there. Sam Prendergast finished the season well. Jamison Gibson Park is a real fulcrum for them. And then probably in the backfield, definitely Hugo. Now that he's come back, he looked really good in the URC final. Obviously, looked dangerous from counter-attack, set up that really nice try from around about the halfway and beat a number of players. Andrew Osborne, he's a natural left edge player. Not too many surprises in their lineup, and not too many easy targets in their lineup. They're, as I said, a mature, very settled team, and even going outside there, a couple of their guys who aren't starting, you take Caelan Doris out of number 8 and you put Jack Conan in, it's one who would have been picked for the Lions or played for the Lions to a guy who started tests against us last year here.
I know you're very next game focused, so you'll have to humour me on this one. Lots of people are curious, beyond this job and the Australia A thing which you've announced, do you want to keep head coaching, or have you
I didn't really plan to be here still. It was really just the fact that Les Kiss was contracted to the Reds, and the continuation just was easier rather than putting an interim coach in, and that would have been a little bit unsettling. The team were unsettled enough post the 2023 World Cup. I think we've certainly made progress since then, and that's been evident in some of the results and in some of the performances, but we need to marry those two things up and start getting some performances that are consistent enough to provide results. And we know that these next 3 games are a pressure point for us, and for me personally, I don't really have any ambition really to keep coaching as a head coach or anything else. I'm really happy to. I think when I get back, I think I'm going to go and help King Country in the Heartland competition for a training. Go and have a look at what they're doing and stay nice and close to home and help out again, just with the pathway. And I'm really comfortable there. I don't feel like I need to be a head coach, and I certainly don't need to be a national head coach.
Joe, I don't know if you've seen it, but someone's had a bit of fun on your Wikipedia page and said that Leinster was going to be your next. Just your thoughts on Leo leaving, and that's definitely not an option, I take it from what you said.
Wow, they've already got my son working for them, so I don't think they need the whole family. I think Leinster, they're a juggernaut, and I know silverware in Europe is the massive benchmark for them, but they've done everything but that and been so competitive and so consistent. And you see other teams, like big teams like Toulouse, they weren't in the final this year. They've done a fantastic job, and you know, I'd have a massive amount of time for what Leo has done and what he's overseen there, and you know, I'm proud to say that I was associated with Leinster because I just think that they're an incredible outfit. So, yeah, I'll probably quietly still support them at times, and you know, particularly in those big European games. You know, ironically, you got Noel McNamara in the opposition helping Bordeaux undo them, and Bordeaux a couple of handy players who can undo a lot of people.
Would you consider going back if they asked you?
No, not at the moment. As Murray said, you guys know me well. I'm very short-term focused. I'm just trying to get through these last 3 games to help as best I can and help the group grow a little bit further. I feel like they are, you know, it's great. I feel like I can take a few steps back and they can really lead themselves now, and I think that's a great transition for Les in that they grab the reins. And you know, I fly to Ireland on August 10 to go up and see my new grandson, so I'm certainly going up there, but not to be coaching really. I'll be looking forward to, you know, that heat wave.
Joe, you're deeply familiar with the Irish game, obviously. You've had 2 cracks at them with the Wallabies. Can you put your finger on why it hasn't gone to plan for you? I presume you had a plan. And secondly, would it be sweet to sign off with a victory over them?
Yeah, it's funny. One of the most bittersweet moments I've had in coaching was coaching with the All Blacks when we tipped them out of the World Cup, because and it was the draw. You can't help the draw, but I would have loved to have seen them get to the semi-final. I thought they'd done all the work leading up to it to deserve to be there, and I think on the day it was a hell of a game of rugby. So, you know, having been involved in that. As far as the plan is concerned, I thought we executed it really well in the first half. In 2024, we lead 13-5 at half time, and we're actually in a pretty good place. And I felt in the second half we kind of went into our shell, and with 8 minutes left, we're still leading, but we're defending a lot, and we're not really getting out of our half. And they are a team that can suffocate you so well. And if they suffocate you for long enough, they're going to accumulate points, and they do it so well. So part of our plan is to keep playing against them. You know, I think if you try to shut a game down too early, again, last year we're 19-14 at half time, and we've had far less of the ball, far less of the territory, but we're still in the game. And you know, the last 4 minutes they score those 2 late tries when we overchase the game. That sort of thing is going to happen. But before that, it's 32-19, and we actually had a couple of field positions that if we maximise what we can get out of them, you become a chance when you're only 13 points off. You get a score and you're close enough. So we don't feel like we're miles away, but execution of that plan is the essence of success or failure. And so you know, there's always a plan, and that plan is always. It's always got to be adaptable, because Ireland will squeeze you.
When you took over, Joe, you said that and you referenced it just before as well, you said that the team wasn't recognisable, the Wallabies, when you took over, from what you had seen and maybe coached against in 2018. Do you think the Wallabies team is recognisable now? And are you happy with where they've got to, kind of as you come to the end?
Yeah. You're a coach, you always want more from the players, and you want them to want more from themselves. And I do certainly feel that you can't sell out stadia. We couldn't have the support we had last year without having earned some of that. And the players are incredibly aware that they've got to keep earning everything they get. And that is from the Australian public, that is from each other, and that is from anything we can get off the opposition. So I think there's some combinations that are building. I think there's a culture within the team. As I said, there's an increase in leadership in the team. There's an increase in them being able to determine how and what they're going to do where, and their commitment to that. You know, their investment in that is always going to be magnified when that's how they want to play, that's who they want to be, and you know, I really hope they can express that over the next 3 weeks, and you know, I can, you know, support them from a distance and maybe help that next layer of player, because I still feel that strength and depth is something that we desperately need in the Wallabies setup, that we need someone pushing underneath so that guy can't afford to take a step back or a step sideways. He's got to keep going forward because there's a guy underneath him who's pushing hard. And so I think that internal competition drives an external competitiveness that we've got to have as part of our DNA.
Last couple of
Has the job been harder than you thought?
I knew it was going to be hard. You know, I talked a lot to Dave Rennie and Scott Wisemantle and a few other people before I started. And that, as I've said before, I tried to avoid taking it initially just because I knew what a commitment it would be. But I know I've said it before, I've loved the challenge. I've really enjoyed the players. I've even enjoyed the way that the supporters have been. Allianz, last time we played there against Argentina, was unbelievably good. And I know that County Coogee and County Bondi, they're going to be there in full. It's going to be green and gold, but not the green we're looking for so much for the Wallaby team. But I just think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and that's part of what you want to bring to a national team, that the nation are part of that team and get behind it. So, as I said, we're hoping to earn that support again on Saturday, and hopefully execute well enough that with 8 minutes to go, we can hold on to a lead, or with 20 minutes to go and we're one or two scores off a lead, we can come over the top of that.
Joe,
Okay, last one, please.
The belief level seemed pretty high midway through last year after the Lions to South Africa, some of those Argentina results. Do you feel like the belief in the players was damaged by that latter run?
Yeah, it's a good question. I certainly try to work with the leaders around, you know, what is their level of belief, what's the feedback they're getting from their teammates. But I believe the belief is there, and I even believe it's well founded. There are some really good players in that group, and there's some bloody good men. So when you get that combination, you'd like to think that they can come together and put in a really good performance. You can never guarantee results because A, you're playing such a good team, and B, there are so many uncontrollable factors in the game. All you can do is try to really control what you can as best you can, and keep building on that. So that's all we can do. And I'm really looking forward to, you know, whenever you start a new season, you kind of, your first performance is a little bit of a benchmark. You get a little bit of an awareness of where you were, where you are, as opposed to where you were 7 months ago. So it is a big hiatus from being within the national setup and certainly playing a test match. And I know we were rusty first up last year, and I think there's a consciousness of that from the players, that they're trying to make sure that rustiness isn't evident on Saturday.
Joe, you've come a long way.
Joe, just continuing on that, actually, you've done both extremes. You've been head coach of an international team, as you are again now, starting out on a new international window at home, but you've also been a head coach of an Irish team coming down the Southern Hemisphere at the end of a long, hard season. Is there an inherent advantage, do you think, or is there a benefit either way?
Yeah, I know last time I was here in 2018, we felt we had an advantage. I know that the rhythm the players had from playing finals footy, that is an advantage without a doubt. And it's not an advantage that we managed to take the take the best out of, because we didn't have a team in the semi-final or final of Super Rugby. So I do think the confidence that players get from that, that little bit of real kind of bone deep belief that you get out of that. When it comes to a final, we can step up and deliver. When it comes to a playoff game, and it's winner take all, because that's what a test match, any test match is, albeit we're playing in a Nations Championship, which I think is a really exciting concept. And I think at the back end of the year, we're really going to see that. But I think for the players, last time I was down here, the Sydney Football Stadium, just before it was renovated, that was on fire. And I felt that the players stayed really calm in those last few minutes when it was a 4-point margin maybe, and there was, the likes of some of the freakish athletes they had flying at us. I thought, that Irish mentality of being incredibly stubborn defensively, of being incredibly connected. I think there was evidence of that because they had the belief that they could trust each other. So that, I think there's advantages in that, but there's a freshness in everyone getting back together. What I observed in the Six Nations, I just thought Ireland, they were back on an upswing, and certainly the Scotland game was real evidence of that, and the England game. I thought those two games were absolutely outstanding. So I prefer those two performances didn't turn up in 2 days' time.